Here we go!
Hey guys, what is up? Merry Christmas to all of you. I know the weekend is already over, but as far as I'm concerned, Christmas doesn't end until the new year ends. That's the rule, I'm sticking with it. I hope you all had a great Christmas and that you got everything you hoped that you would get this year. In my case, I got way more than I expected to get, and that's part of why I'm making this video. That, and I figure y'all deserved a video after going days without one, so call it a late Christmas gift from your chief of the Blue Blurs. Anyway, let's get right to it. The star of the show is actually right behind me, sorta, like I've got the box for it, but the console itself is unboxed, which wasn't initially what I planned for this video, but audio issues, they're a pain to work out. Anyway, let me get it into view real quick. My webcam isn't the greatest, but we're trying out here. And take a look, my Xbox Series S, newest addition to my family of consoles. Is she not beautiful or what? This looks awesome. She does kind of look like a speaker. That was actually the first thing that went through my mind when I pulled this out, but we'll talk more about that in a second. It was something that I was completely surprised by because I didn't think I'd be getting this for at least another few years since they've been so hard to find. Like the second they get onto shelves, they disappear right away. Thanks, scalpers. But my family managed to pull off the near impossible and cop this at a nearby GameStop, which is impressive considering they disappear, like I said a bit ago, they disappear near instantaneously, but PS5's way more so than Xbox is, interestingly. I guess not everyone is as into the concept of backwards compatibility as I am, but hey, you gotta preserve our games. Now, what happened is, I walked to my grandma's place, we ate Christmas dinner, and then we set about opening our gifts, and I'm typically a gentleman, as many will call me, so I was busy picking up the trash while everybody was unwrapping their gifts, and then I got pulled over and asked to open up a series of gifts that had been laid out specifically for me in the order they wanted me to open them in, which I thought was weird because they never asked me to open my presents in any order like that before, so I was like, y'all up to something? But I did as they asked because why not, and the first gift they set in front of me was, well, this. I opened it up and my jaw hit the floor. They pulled it off and, well, for as supportive as they've been of everything I do on YouTube and anything else that's gaming related, they've been super supportive since I've been competing in fighting games like earlier in the last decade or so. And they always amaze me with how supportive they've been. I love them so much. They mean the world to me. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. This is incredible. Now, I showed you the box for long enough. I think it's time to show you the console itself. And here it is, what y'all have been waiting to see. Next to my Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Wii is the brand spanking new Xbox Series S. Does it not look sick or what? I'll be honest, I didn't know what I thought of the design at first when the Series X and the Series S got announced, but the more I look at this thing, the more I think it will grow on me. Like I said a bit ago, I thought they got me a speaker when I first pulled this out, then I happened to see the power button right there, and that's when it all clicked into place. I was like, yo, you guys did not just... And I don't think I ever managed to stop smiling for a second that night. Bruh, this is incredible, and the fact my family managed to snag this when they were so quick to disappear off the shelves, they are heroes for this. For us gamers, this is a Christmas miracle because of the circumstances under which it's been so hard to find either this, a Series X, or a PS5. But for the record, I own a PlayStation 2, it's right down there. I'm not a PlayStation hater, they've made some decisions that I disagree with, but I still love both consoles, just to get that out of the way because I don't want anybody going into the comments and starting a console war. But I digress. This right here is the Series S, and there is the controller right here along with it. As you can see, I got to connect it with a cable. I always use a cable whenever I use a controller, so I can spare myself the trouble having to buy batteries just to keep using this thing. For us Nintendo Wii owners back in the day, that was always an irritation to deal with. And yes, I got a Nintendo Wii right there, but Sonic Storybook games still exist, as do the Sonic GameCube games, so this thing still has a purpose. So I think you could play the same games on the Wii U, but the last time I tried to do that, it wouldn't let me use my monitor for the display. It instead kept switching to the gamepad, and I was like, nah, that's just not gonna do it. Luckily, I don't have to deal with something like that when it comes to this. Now, I got it setting on the side, whereas before I had it laying horizontally across this corner of my desk, which is not a good idea if you're trying to save up on your desk space. But I figured out that you can set this thing on the sides or horizontally, whichever you choose, and in this case, setting it vertically worked beautifully for me. Now, I know I made a lot of jokes about this thing looking like a speaker and all, but what that actually is right there is a vent, so that's where the air gets sent out of the console. Overheating is a huge no-no when it comes to using anything technological, and consoles are certainly no exception to the rule. Luckily, none of my consoles really overheat like that because I am careful about where I place them and I take exceptionally good care of them, which is always good to do. And for that reason, I couldn't really set it right next to my consoles as I didn't want to risk blocking the fan, whether it be barely at all or a little more than I should. But it didn't take much effort for me to figure out how exactly to get this set up, so your boy is all good. Also back there, you may have been barely able to see it at first, is an extra storage device for the Xbox. That thing is said to have up to 5 terabytes of additional space, but as you can see right here, it actually gives me another 4.5 terabytes of space, in addition to the approximate 400 that the Xbox itself came with. I guess the remaining 0.5 is allocated to other things for it, like maybe its physical design or whatever, not entirely sure, but either way, 4.5 in addition to what I had already is a lot. As you can see, it barely looks like I have anything on this console at all. And that's a huge plus considering that this is an all-digital console. You can't use physical media with it at all. That's what the Series X is for. Hence the difference in their designs. I prefer to own all my games physically, as you can see from my clean setup right here, but hey, I'm willing to adjust wherever necessary. When I got Sonic Mania, I had to buy it digitally as that was the only way it was available, but then a year later it got a physical release when the Mania Plus DLC update came out. And something I realized, now that I own an Xbox again, I own Sonic Mania on every platform it was made for. Xbox, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC, along with the Mania Plus DLC. Don't even bother asking me why I bought multiple copies of Sonic Mania along with the DLC. I don't have an answer for you other than that I love the game that much and I was willing to give every penny in my wallet to Sega for it. Now if we take a look at the rear side of the console, we can see the rest of what it has to offer. We got the port right here for an Ethernet cable, which I currently can't use because my setup doesn't allow the use of Ethernet. I have to stick with fiber internet, which is a suitable alternative as it's super stable over here and I rarely ever get lag whenever I play online, but even then I try to limit how many chances I take playing online because I don't want to screw anybody else's experience up just because I'm on Wi-Fi, you know? But either way, you ever want to use Ethernet cable, it's right there. And right here is a USB cable for my extra hard drive. And there's another USB port right there. There's also one up on the front of the console. Let me show you. You may have already seen it as I got my controller connected to that. So yeah, there you go. So that's like 3 USB ports and all. I wonder if there's an adapter that allows you to add more to this. And then there's where the HD cable goes. And this right here says, let me see. Storage expansion, but that's a little confusing because isn't the extra hard drive a method for storage expansion? Like, if it's not to connect hard drive to this, then what else could it be used for exactly? Maybe not 100% understanding this. You might have not have realized by now, but I'm somewhat new to the concept of extra storage devices like that guy back there. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot flying over my head right now. And finally, that's where the power adapter goes. No explanation needed for that now, is it? The nice thing about this power cable though is that it doesn't have a power brick like my Xbox One did, so thank goodness, that makes this less tedious to set up. The power brick wasn't too much of an annoyance, but it's nice to take it out of the equation. Alright, we talked about the console. Next up is the Xbox Series S controller. It's very much like the Xbox One pad, so not a lot to go over here, but there are 2 significant changes of note. First of all, the D-pad has got a different design, now with padding all around the corners. And I think that's padding, or it could be whatever else. Didn't the Xbox Elite pad have a similar design and also a customizable D-pad and analog stick? That came out a fair ways back, but I have a fairly good recollection of how it first looked when they released it, and I think one of the biggest advertisements for it was the customizable D-pad, but I could be wrong, feel free to educate me, I never owned one myself. And with also a brand new capture button they've thrown right onto the middle of this guy. We'll talk about it though. First of all, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the controller. It's fairly easy to use, simple to figure out, not a lot to complain about, except for the D-pad design. To be blunt, it hurts to use this thing, I'm not even kidding. The first time I used the controller, the midpoint of my thumb was so red, like right here, that it felt like I got a bruise there. Like Knuckles had walked up and punched me right in the thumb for reasons I couldn't possibly fathom. It's healed up though, so you can't really see it now, but yeah. And also sorry for the phone. The focus on here is something I'm still trying to figure out how to use properly. It's an iPhone recording if you're wondering, but the commentary is coming from my PC because the last time I used an iPhone to record a video like this, my commentary sounded hard to listen to because the audio was just that bad, jeez. So I made some changes to how I record my videos, but yeah. The D-pad here is not the most comfortable thing in the world to use. On top of that, it has trouble reading my down input. Like there are times I press down on it like this, and it doesn't pick up on the input. Maybe I'm just sweeping my finger too fast over it, but it's not really picking up on it so well. Maybe I just haven't fully adjusted the controller yet. But right now, those are my two complaints about it. Down inputs are hard to use for this, and the padding seems to make it uncomfortable to use. Not that I use it for every game I play. For the Sonic games, I'll typically use the analog stick, and I have no issue there. But for other games, like say Killer Instinct, I'll default to the D-pad. But because of how certain inputs are having trouble being read, I can't perform optimally on there. So yeah, that sucks, but maybe I just need time getting warmed up to it. And then there is the capture button. This is a convenience because now you don't have to jump back to the menu every time you want to capture something. All you have to do is press this, and it will record the last few seconds of your footage. But there is a caveat to recording footage on the Xbox Series X and the Series X presumably. If you record in 1080p, you only get 1 minute of footage, whereas if you do it at 720, you get only 3. And it seems you can't get footage lasting for longer than that. This makes no sense to me because when I owned an Xbox One, I was able to record footage for much longer than 3 minutes, like I'm talking upwards of 30 minutes to an hour. So they seem to have scaled it back on how much footage you can capture through the Xbox, and I don't understand why, but that's kind of a turn-off for me. Luckily, I have a capture card, so that's not really an obstacle for me to deal with, but for anybody who's less lucky, well, if you're trying to post footage regularly, you better hope that the majority of your content consists of short clips. Well, there are YouTube shorts, so I guess you're set there one way or another. Also, as a side note, they got me a charging dock that you can use to charge your batteries with the controller. Not that I really need to use this, as I typically use a cable for my controller, as I showed you earlier, saving trouble having to use batteries, but hey, always good to have something like this in case you forget your cable. Back to the console for a minute, because there's one thing about it I almost forgot to point out. Right above the USB port here is what looks like the sync button that you use to connect wireless controllers to the console. Again, I don't really use this because, well, I use cable for my controllers, but during any occasion where you've got friends over and you don't have enough USB ports to spare for every controller, this may be useful to keep in the back of your mind. Alright, we've gone over the console, we've gone over the controller, now it's time to talk about the games. Here's my catalog of Xbox games. It's mostly the same as I left it before I had to sell my Xbox One years ago, but your boy's been making some nice additions to it. I got blessed with a $100 gift card for Christmas, so I've been taking full advantage of it, and you'll see most of my new games up at the top and at the bottom rows. In the middle, however, there's a lot of Sonic games. Could be because I'm a Sonic fan, right? I know, it's unfathomable. But yeah, I got a lot of Sonic games right here. The only ones I don't have on this list are Sonic the Fighter, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, Sonic Forces, but I already had that on PS4, and I believe Team Sonic Racing is the last one. That one I got from a Nintendo Switch. Everything else is right here though, including Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Generations, and I'll be honest, when the 60 FPS patch for both these games got announced, people have been buying an Xbox mainly to play Unleashed and Generations in 60 frames per second, and I don't blame them because it was definitely a selling point for Microsoft, well, a selling point for Sonic fans that use Xbox consoles anyway. And it's rather fitting because I somewhat consider Xbox to be the spiritual successor to the Sega Dreamcast, as it pioneered a lot of things like online play, and Xbox will capitalize on those things since then. Not that it's the only one, but it definitely laid out the foundation, the Dreamcast I mean, for a lot of what our modern day console would achieve today. And yeah, Sonic Unleashed and Generations being on Xbox via backwards compatibility is the primary reason that I prefer the Series X or S over the PlayStation 5 when the next generation of consoles kicked off. Eventually I'll get both, but if I had to start with one, I'm definitely going with the Xbox. No worries though, Sonic games will be coming to PS5 as well, including Sonic Frontiers. But as much as it may shock you to learn this, I do play games other than Sonic, so let's go over those real quick. First of all, there's Batman the Telltale series. I'm not really all in on DC like that, but your boy loves Batman, especially the Batman Arkham games. Right now, I'm replaying the living heck out of Batman Arkham Knight because I never got to play up until Halloween this year, which is appropriate because the events of the game take place during Halloween, and the main villain is Scarecrow! Yo, the pieces really fell into place for that game. But yeah, I saw a friend playing the Telltale series and I was like, man, I gotta get an Xbox again. And I have one now, so we're gonna be looking at the Telltale series real soon. Next up is Final Fantasy VII, and I mean the OG Final Fantasy VII, not the remake. This game made up the pinnacle of my 10th and 11th years of life. It's so memorable and amazing. It's understandable that its impact will still be felt today, as it definitely established a golden standard for JRPGs, and I'm glad this game got a remake. I never finished the remake, but don't worry, I will. Next up is Killer Instinct. It's free to play, so it's a harmless addition to my library, and this game carries a lot of memory for me because I used to invest a lot of time into it back when I competed regularly in fighting games. I don't now, but it's nice to pay a visit once in a while. Then I got the HD 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8 collections for Kingdom Hearts. Each collection consists of 3 games from the Kingdom Hearts series, so now I've gotten almost the entire Kingdom Hearts library on my Xbox. I've got Kingdom Hearts 3 on the PlayStation 4, which is why you don't see it here. But for those that have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, it seems you can download Kingdom Hearts 3 for, well, free, sorry for the poor wordplay. But to own it for good, you gotta purchase it outright. Seems similar to what PlayStation Plus does, so fair enough. Next up is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, another of my favorites. I could not put this game down when I first got it, and although it's a dramatic departure from the traditional stealth formula outlined by the Metal Gear Solid series, it's still a memorable game, and there's a reason it's so meme-worthy. Nanomachine, son! Speaking of Metal Gear, I've also gotten the Metal Gear Solid 5 Definitive Experience, which includes both entries of the Metal Gear Solid 5 game. There's Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain. I never played both of these because I stopped playing the Metal Gear Solid series after 4 when it became clear that was the end of Solid Snake's storyline. I miss him so much, man. Please bring David Hayter back! But I did love the heck out of Rising Revengeance, or as it turns out, change isn't always a bad thing. Though this game still has somewhat a connection to Metal Gear Solid because of the main character, Raiden, who made his debut in Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Like many other games, that series made a huge impact on me. A lot of meaningful lessons to be learned from it. Next up is the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It remasters the first 3 Spyro games, which are Spyro 1, Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, and Spyro 3 Year of a Dragon. Your boy never got to play Year of a Dragon, so it's nice to finally do some catching up. But yeah, I am a fan of the cool purple dragon. Although cool probably isn't the best word to use, as he's a dragon that breathes fire. Next up I got parts 1 and 2 of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, yet another series that left its mark on me. Bro, when I heard the news of the remake for Knights of the Old Republic 1, I got so excited but nervous at the same time. Making a true remake that recaptures the experience you felt from playing the first one is difficult, and I really hope they don't screw this one up. But hey, the remake of Final Fantasy VII turned out okay, maybe this one will turn out just fine as well. At least that's what I'm hoping. And finally, we got Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist: Link Evolution. I assume this is the latest entry in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, and yeah, I used to be pretty big on Yu-Gi-Oh! back in the day. I haven't played a game for the series in a while though, so I decided, you know what, I'll go ahead and pick this up. I see a good number of streamers indulging in Yu-Gi-Oh! These days, and hey, they've got good taste. Been playing it some, and it feels nice playing the card game again after so many years away from it. I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds actually, catching up on how the series turned out, and my god, I think it is the rawest Yu-Gi-Oh! Series out of all of them, at least in my opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, feel free to let me know. So that does it for my showcase of the Xbox Series X, but I have one more thing to show you that is Xbox related. You may not have noticed, but these have been behind me the whole time, and I'm going to show them to you right now. These are Xbox Crew socks. I got 6 pairs of these. Someone had the controller layout across their faces, and wow, they definitely add to the surprise. I'm really big on collecting gaming related merchandise, including clothes like socks. I got a lot of Sonic socks, so many in fact that my drawer over there is probably gonna explode. And I've been adding to that collection as of Christmas. Also got a lot of Zelda socks, and well, I guess I can scratch Xbox socks off the list too. Haven't worn any of these because I wanted to show these to you, but the other batch of socks that I got this Christmas, I did unwrap, and there's a good reason for it. I'm gonna show them to you right now. So here we have 6 pairs of Sonic socks, which are not crew socks. The nice thing about how these guys are designed is that if you unpair them and hold them next to one another in opposite directions, it shows the character in full. That's a really cool design choice for these guys, I like that. And each pair has a different character on them. We got Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, Shadow, and Silver. And along with these socks, we got ourselves a Sonic stocking that Mom gave me 2 days before Christmas actually happened. Man, when I saw the stocking, I jumped all over the room like a hyperactive kid because the sight of it was so cool. I'd never seen anything like it. The only regret I have about my reaction is I didn't have it on camera. Darn! Also, when you press the button on top of the stocking, it lights up with multiple colors. The first time, they'll blink rapidly. The second time you press the button, they'll blink slowly. The third time you press the button, they'll stop blinking and become static, and then it turns off when you press it a 4th time. This is apparently a Sonic Rider stocking given the render, but I prefer to call this a Hypersonic stocking because what else do you know in the series that lights up with multiple colors? Oh right, Hypersonic. And that pretty much covers everything I got for Christmas this year. Gosh, this was one heck of a surprise. My family went above and beyond to surprise me this Christmas, and words can't express how much I appreciate them for doing this. And words also can't express how much I appreciate you guys for coming along and giving my content a chance. 2021 went from being one of the worst years to be a YouTuber to being one of the best, all because of you guys. After my first channel failed, I really wasn't sure if things would work out for me on the YouTube side, but you guys came along and changed that. Thank you all so very much. There's a lot to be happy about this Christmas, and there'll be lots to be happy about when 2022 kicks off. So much to look forward to with Sonic, including the next Sonic movie and Sonic Frontiers, along with pretty much everything else. And that also means lots of content that I look forward to making you all to enjoy. It's all of you guys who make this possible for me. And I'll never be able to thank you completely for it, but I'll try anyway. Anyway, that is it for this video, but before I go, I think it's only proper but I send you off with a showcase video of Sonic Unleashed in 60 FPS, as it's something that many of us have been dying to see when the Xbox consoles got the patch, and well, only seems proper to end the video off like that. So, I'm gonna leave a clip here for you guys. There'll be no commentary for it, as meant to be a showcase clip, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, Happy New Year, take care of yourselves, and always remember, we are Forever Blue Blurs for life. See you all later.
Here we go! Yeah! Yeah! Go! Feeling good! Yeah! 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 Piece of cake!